The one actually big bit of advice that I think people don't really take into account is
Who is the best ATM player? Is there any?
I do think he's the voiceover for the Hog Rider.
Lady B, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hello. You're just making sure I'm not like picking my nose. I know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I did. So that was Judo Sloth when he came on. I did a wee turn to the right, and then I kind of delayed because he was drinking from a can. But he'd staged it all deliberately because it was can iron and brew, and he was sort of like proper posing. But because you're trying to do too many things, I totally missed it, and I totally ruined his joke for him. It was great. So it's fun.
Nice. Well, good to be here. It's awesome to finally get on. I'm very excited.
It's great to have you. It's great to have you on. And now you're kind of cruising at the moment, aren't you? You're traveling around. Where are you right now? Tell us about where you are just now.
So I'm in the Netherlands at the moment. I've been here for just about 2 weeks, and I'm here for another almost 2 weeks. It's like a total of just about 3.5 weeks.
Happy days, happy days. That's awesome. And are you liking the Netherlands? I enjoy it. Beautiful place. So
I love it. Food's great here. They have like the best cheese around, which I'm a huge cheese fan. So like this is where my heart is. And I mean, like it's been cooler here than in New York. The weather's been actually fairly nice, even though it's been raining a lot. It's just a little bit cooler, which is great. We had a couple of we had about a week of nice days, but now we're back to more dreadful rain and can't go out and do some fun things, unfortunately.
Yeah. So Netherlands, obviously famous for a couple of things, but famous from my point of view for cheese, beer, and pancakes. I mean, that for me, that's the 3 best things. And obviously was as well, but
And Wasman. Yeah, famous for Wasman.
Yeah, famous for Wasman.
So the beer here is really good. Actually, where we are, there's a really nice there's actually a couple of nice breweries, but they do Trappist style beers. One in particular, which is one of my favorite styles.
Happy days. Right, we've gone totally off topic. I always send the guests a list of questions, and I've just thrown in a whole thing about like how was your holiday sort of question that wasn't on the list. But we'll start with the normal quickfire questions, the ones that we always start with. And yeah, we go. We've got the first one. When did you start playing? So when did you start playing the game, Lady B?
That's like asking me how old I am. At some point you just forget your age, and then you just like default it. I want to say I've been playing probably for like 6 to 8 years at this point. I have no idea. I've completely lost track at this point. Though a lot of it now is not quite so much playing as doing casting and commentary, just with work restrictions and everything. But definitely been around the scene for quite some time.
Cool. So I only know when I started playing because I had to look it up on one of the websites of, the seasonal obstacles. So I started in September, and so then there was in October you had like the gravestone thing, and I deleted that obstacle. And because at that time you only got like 1 or 2 that spawned, and I needed elixir because I was like a brand new Town Hall 5, and deleted it. And so the gravestone one, that's basically
that's your indicator. I deleted a lot of stuff from the start because I wasn't thinking about collecting all those obstacles.
Yeah, exactly. You don't think about it.
I wanted gems. I wanted like points coming through in gems so I can gem everything, which has never changed for me.
I wanted some elixir, so I was like, oh, these give you loads of elixir. And so another one popped up, I'll delete that as well. And then I got no more, and I was like, oh, man. Anyway, sorry. Next question. What is your favourite Town Hall level?
Favorite Town Hall, I think was probably Town Hall 9. I think a lot of people probably say that too, because it's where the game got really good and interesting. And for me, that's where it got very competitive and where I got introduced to the competitive community in general. So for me, that's always kind of been the greatest point. You learn about funneling your heroes before then, you should, but you get a little bit more challenge with the queen, and it becomes a lot more exciting. And I think at that point, I was actually doing a lot of dragons. Like dragon meta was strong. It was like the Zap Drag. Actually, it was I think was it Zap Drag? Yeah, I think it was like the Zap Drag Lalo. That was back in the day. The meta that they were using in one hive, and that was one of my favorite strategies. And my
Cool.
clan hated me for using that strategy. They're like, "Stop using it. It's an awful strategy. We hate it." But yeah, I didn't want to stop because I liked it so much. And then I wound up switching over to hogs eventually.
It's kind of, yeah, Town Hall 9's like when like that two-stage attack sort of thing starts becoming really effective, isn't it? It's sort of Town Hall 8's when you learn about like maybe you've got like a bit of a funneling going on, but yeah, like the opportunity to have like queen charges and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, you're right. It's Town Hall 9's when it starts getting quite, the attacks start getting a little bit more complex. I think that's when
Yeah.
I moved from a phone to a tablet to do war attacks because I needed a bigger screen because my big fat sausage fingers, and I just couldn't do it. I know some people prefer using their phone, but I needed a bigger screen. I needed more space to move my fingers about.
I think that was kind of about where I was too when I was finally like, okay, it's time for an iPad. Let's.
Yeah.
But I think also like I was investing a little bit more because I was playing in, you know, leagues and tournaments back at that point. CWL had started maybe about a year or so after I got into the competitive scene. But before that, there was like the FP community tournaments, whereas like FP UK or Wasman knows those ones. I can't remember exactly what it was, but that was what we had at that time.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. What about your favourite strategy then? What's your or strategy or troop? You know, you could just be it could just be a troop as well. Last man also
Um,
sorry said FPC. There you go.
yeah, FPC. So I would say probably hogs. I think my favorite troop has really been hogs for quite some time. It took me, well, back in Town Hall 7, I love them. And I actually never wanted to upgrade them because I was lazy with farming. I hated farming. I still do to this day, which is why everything's like super, super low. But I just had this mission of being able to try and like clear bases with level 1 hogs. So and I did, and I liked that attack strategy. And then I kind of gravitated towards dragons because that was a big thing. And then Joshi, who was part of, oh goodness, what clan was that? Heroic Giants, that we played in together. He he like turned me into a hog master, and then I started playing pretty much with hogs all the time.
Nice. There is a hog rounder. So hogs are one of my favourite ones. Just the character like that they put in the cartoon is so good. Yeah, it's awesome. In the cartoon, you know what I mean? In the adverts and all that. The character that
Yeah.
they've come up with. You've got like the wizard and the hog rider are the two just best characters.
Yeah, the Galadon's I think I do think he's the voiceover for the Hog Rider. I'm pretty
You
sure he
think?
is. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. If that's true, that's incredible. I did not know that. That's very cool. What about the last one? This is always quite an interesting one. Where did the name come from? How did you come up with the name?
Oh, that's a good one, and you'll love this one.
Good, good, excellent.
You're Scottish, right?
Yep.
Mac, right? Mac,
Yeah.
you're Scottish. So, I figured it being Clash of Clans, clans is like a Scottish thing. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to my Scottish roots, but I need to make some like big burly chick that no one would mess with, It's like my clan leader lady. So I decided to look up Scottish words. I was like, okay, what would be a good family name for this like brooding Scottish lady? I Google a bunch of Scottish words and I say like coo. I'm like, okay, cow, I like it. Kind of beefy. And then I found blutered or bluter, which means drunk. So I was like, okay, blutered, coo, drunken cow. Sounds like a good name of a pub. And, she'd be like a wench drinking, grog, sipping chick that you don't want to mess with. So I was like, okay, Lady Bluter Coo. Sounds good. That was it. Does that actually
Java
translate
Gaming _gifted
correctly,
a tier 1
You're
sub to
Scottish.
Catbrew. This is their
Blutered-
first gift sub in the channel.
Blutered Coo.
Blutered coup. I love that.
Yeah.
I honestly thought it was just like, I'm kind of blown away. I thought your name was just going to be like, yeah, so like, my first name begins with a B, so it's Lady B. It makes like total. No,
Nobody knew.
Blutered is a brilliant Scottish word. Bladdered, blutered, yeah, basically means drunk as a skunk. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So I'm just remembering that. Yeah, I wound you up with like a big long story about haggis once before. And
I gotta go catch some haggis when I go to Scotland. Yeah, I gotta bring my net and go around the hills and the cliffs and go catch them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you remember the story? They've got one leg shorter than the other because they've only run one way around the hill. That's it. It's
Yeah.
That's the story we tell the Americans when they come over, is genuinely, and you get them all with their binoculars out looking at the hills. So yeah.
I told my uncle about that. I actually am part Scottish. On my mother's father's side, that whole side of the family is Scottish, and our family is from Isle of Skye. And my uncle had gone with his family, took my aunt and my cousins to Isle of Skye. They went to, one of the castles there. And I told him about the story about the haggis, and he started just cracking up laughing. So he's glad I didn't really fully fall for it.
Yeah, that is what it is. Right, okay, let's get on to sort of more current topics, if that makes sense, as opposed to sort of like the standard introductions we've got here. The order I thought we'd do this in is talk about the Worlds Weekend, because, that just happened, so it kind of makes the most sense. Did you catch much of it live?
No.
No, me
No.
neither. No.
No, and I haven't watched
horrible. It's just
I
such a
know.
difficult time.
I see when I'm back at home, it's a little bit easier to try and catch some because it's at like 9 o'clock. So I can force myself to stay. And I say this because I'm an old lady. I can force myself to stay up a little bit. I'm typically in bed by 8 and asleep by 10 when I'm at home in EDT.
That's crazy.
So last month, I forced myself to watch, and I fell asleep during the finals last month. And it was such a good war. And I was really trying to watch Elevate and Tomp and I, because I really wanted to see it. But I think it was about maybe the third or fourth attacks that I finally just dozed off and I completely passed out. This time over, I woke up because it's 3 a.m. here when they start. I woke up the first day at the tail end and caught a couple of hits. Second day, nothing. I was I was dead to the world. I didn't catch any of it. So I actually have to find some time to just sit back and watch some of it and catch up on what I missed. But I know it was, it was likely incredible wars with the teams that were competing. Just really amazing to see teams like Rest get in there, and doing so well in it too. I was very proud of them. I actually covered some of their matches for the pre-qualifiers. And the same for Aphelion. I covered some of their matches as well, which was absolutely insane. But, to see teams like that coming through, and Carnage Gaming, Queen Walkers, of course, kind of getting back into their groove, which is nice.
Yeah.
Just really, really amazing stuff.
Queen Walkers doing so well. I think everyone kind of wanted that. I think Queen Walkers and MCS are probably the two teams that come up a lot of the time that haven't got the golden ticket or didn't have the golden ticket yet, and Queen Walkers hadn't honestly even been anywhere close. MCS have got that silver ticket. Rest was the biggest surprise for me. Yayeto, when I first started streaming, it was me and Yayeto were in a team, and Yayeto is sort of more in the background of things now. Having just seeing Rest doing so well is just, I don't know, I thought that was awesome. And Aphelion's an interesting one because it's basically a brand new team, isn't it? It's Team Ninja.
It is.
And they're a brilliant team as well, really strong, sort of kind of quite underrated, I think. I don't many people know about them.
They don't. And I actually first, I think I've known of them, but I really took notice in NACC when we covered them. We wound up having we didn't have another Division 1 match to cover for our double header. So we wound up having Ninja come in, and this is when they were in their Division 2 team and they were still under the Ninja name, and they just absolutely rocked it. It was such a good war. They had gone up against Heavenly Zone as well. So it was an insane war. It was a lot of fun to cover. And then when I found out that they were the team that actually came in, that Aphelion took over and they moved into the Division 1, Eric and I were completely shocked because we didn't know about it. We did our predictions beforehand. Had we known that, we would have gone for Aphelion with the win, which they actually did. And that was the war that for NACC, they came in under the new Aphelion name. 15 stars to Penta. It was 15-10. So not only a phenomenal offensive performance, but their defenses have held strong. And they did the same exactly in the pre-qualifiers. like where they took KOG down. They held USIPI into a 99% 2-star, like at the tail end, like where it mattered, and then brought it home with the triple that they needed. So like they're phenomenal. I'm super impressed by those guys.
Cool. Yeah. It's. So, do you think this is? Do you think this is healthy? The fact that you've got basically this is the third month we've had brand new, like totally different teams. There's some clear inconsistencies in performance. Is that maybe the way to say it? Teams dropping off. I mean, I was definitely expecting Space Station Gaming to come back the next month and be in the June qualifier and then the July qualifier, but they've not been back. They haven't been able to get that form back. Same with MCS as well. Is this good? Does this mean that the Clans esports scene is healthy, or is it unhealthy? What do you think?
Yeah, so actually Westman and I have been talking about this a lot, because I've always been of the mindset that like the hit rates are too high, and I still agree with that. I think hit rates are just a little bit too high. But it's really interesting because what that does, and one of the things that Westman and I were talking about, his stance is that it, like you just can't, you just can't let up. One small slip and another
Yeah.
team that you don't even know of can actually slip in easily. So in a way, it's still difficult. It's not like you're just rolling over bases because you can still mess up. You can still do things wrong. There are ways to defend. There are ways to bait people into things. I still think the hit rates are too high. I'd like to see just a little bit more coming in for defense as far as level upgrades or, even something for additional traps. That would be great. But all in all, the fact that we're seeing, 3 months in a row, completely different teams coming in, I actually think that's healthy. I think that's the way
Yeah.
this should be, that teams have the opportunity to rise up and shine, like come into the spotlight, especially that, that shows people that it doesn't matter who you are. Like you can be an unknown name. Now we still get to see all the names that we know doing this and mixing it up. But I think that's really encouraging for players going into the CWL that want to get into that competitive mode, that haven't had the opportunity, that can show that they can shine. I think the hardest part is going to be the defensive front, though, for some of those teams.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The building, the like even just leveling up your defenses and the base building and all that tends to be the thing I think that sets those sort of top level teams apart, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, what about the no? It's a weird question to ask. This weekend was the first weekend we had that didn't have any of the drama of any disconnects or anything like that, and and it's a bit of a strange question to ask. So we didn't have it. That was good. It was a great thing that we didn't have any disconnects. But what about the previous months? Do you feel sorry for these guys that have missed out? I mean, there was some questions about like, should they still get the prize money for where they placed, but they lost out completely. They were disqualified and completely removed. What's your sort of take on it?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a tough thing because it's unfortunate that, they have to go to this measure because of cheating. It's just, that's what these things are there for. They're there as precautions. I had read up a lot. I had seen some comments from, I think it was HT family, and I think it even was Indian Clashers that said that they had offered, doing additional
Yeah.
cameras that they could do just for the security of it, especially if there was a possible disconnect in the system because they didn't fully trust it. So, and they were told, nah, it's okay.
Yeah.
And that's a bit unfortunate that they weren't offered that opportunity, that they could have that sort of backup, knowing that there are countries that do suffer issues of, Wi-Fi disconnects in general, that it's a lot harder. And that's pulling a lot on their Wi-Fi. Let's be honest. If you're having all those cameras going through and feeds and, you're broadcasting, I don't know how much like upload speed they need to do it. I know with streaming, you don't need too much, but still if they don't have the capacity or just the infrastructure isn't set up for it, it's unfortunate. I wish there was some way to turn it around and revise it. I'd like to see that change happen, but I understand why the system's there. I still think that there needs to be something in place to keep people from cheating. make sure that,
Yeah.
all eyes are on them. But, after hearing the fact that there was, that they had offered up other solutions and were told, no, it's okay. I think that's a little, that's sucky.
Yeah,
It's a bit of,
it really blows from them. It's rough. It's like a rough one. But this
yeah,
weekend we didn't have any issues, so that was a real positive
yeah.
from it. Really, and actually, in terms of
No
drama, there
bad
hasn't.
German Wi-Fi.
Yeah, there wasn't much drama coming out from like the pre-qualifier weekend either. If you compare it to like the previous months, it was
Yeah,
a really
smoother.
rocky start, and it's actually feels like it's maybe getting a little bit smoother now. So that's good. It's like we're going in the right direction, which is good.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised because for the pre-qualifiers, um, I had said, okay, I'm not going to stream the beginning of it. I might wake up at like 6 a.m. to do it because 3 a.m. is rough. But I was still not quite in the right time zone yet at that point, and I wound up like going to sleep for about an hour or so. And I just woke up at like 4 a.m. and I was like, okay, I'm up. Let's do this. So at 4 a.m. I woke up and they were already in by that point they were already in round two, I think it was, or just getting set for round two. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this went on like clockwork, which was nice.
Yeah, it's running
So even
smoothly.
yeah, and all the matches actually progressed really well. So even for day two, it was a lot less chaotic, which was great to see. And it looked like there wasn't quite as much drama, like you said, in day one. Um, you know, with all the I didn't use my right base or whatever the stories are
All
that
the
go
yeah,
along
we
with
had
it.
you had the proper extremes of like how does a friendly war work to the entire game is broken on me. It was like proper extremes of issues going on previously. So it feels like
Yeah.
it's going in the right direction. So we've got three golden ticket winners now. We've
Mm-hmm.
got and now I'm going to try and name them and screw it up. But we've got Queen Walkers, we've got Alternate Attacks with the first one, and we've got was it
Company.
Tomp and I that took it in the end? It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, who's missing? Who do you expect to see having a golden ticket in the next? We've only got a couple left, and then we're on to the silver
To the
ticket.
silver ticket
Yeah,
winners. Yeah. So that's a tough one. Like this month's qualifiers, I think really I'd love to see some of those teams in the mix. Carnage Gaming has been on fire. They're a team that I would love to see with the opportunity to compete for the World Championship title. Aphelion, hands down, I would absolutely love to see MCS, of course. I think they need a spot in there. I mean, that's three there already, and so that makes it really tough because you've got Tribe Gaming, you've got Elevate, Space Station Gaming. It's like, how do you pick these teams out of a lineup like this? It's just very difficult when you could only really choose like 8 teams to come out of it,
yeah,
to have to compete head to head for a world championship title. But I think the nice thing is, like, I would love to see Rest in it. I'd like to see an Italian team going in there, like with their first time opportunity. I think those are the types of teams that could really just take other players by surprise. And it's always nice having a dark horse scenario.
yeah.
They've been around for quite some time, but we haven't been seeing them compete this high of a level, which I think is exciting and pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think it's great seeing them. I think it was great just seeing not your usual name. There was some surprising names in previous months, but they were names that were like, oh, okay, that's just so and so under a new name now, and that kind of makes sense. Rest
Yeah.
were like rest is rest, and that's just it was really cool to see. So do you like the silver ticket sort of setup? Do you prefer that to the sort of the public vote that we had last time?
I think the silver ticket is nice because it's a way for people to, they've proved themselves. You worked hard to be there, and it's not like you wind up getting to the finals and you walk away empty-handed. I mean, yeah, you get cash anyway, but you get that additional opportunity for taking all that time to get in there. So I do think there's something nice about having that over the wild card vote. And then we're going to get to see additional teams coming in through ESL, which is actually
Yeah,
really exciting through the Mobile Open. So through NA and through the uh, your MENA. I don't know how to actually say that.
The EU
Um,
and
EU,
Middle East something.
North Africa.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah, North Africa. I was like,
It just
North
doesn't roll
America?
off the
That's
tongue
not
like
right. Yeah.
your MENA. But yeah, I think that's actually really exciting too, like having that opportunity. The interesting thing though is where we stand in the European one is that it pretty much defaults to tribe at this point because I think that's exactly what we had been talking about the last time. I have to remember actually who's going to be playing in it, but ATN's already qualified.
MCS have got a ticket.
MCS have got the
Tom
silver ticket.
Tom Panay
Elevate.
qualified. Eve.
Tom Panay's got the silver ticket.
Yeah, sorry.
Elevate's got the silver ticket. So, with that, Tribe is actually going to have a silver ticket into it. They don't have to necessarily. Well, I mean, you want the golden ticket. If you can win, you can win.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happens after that. I guess it would, if Tribe were to get a golden ticket, then I guess it would default down the ranks to the next person below them in that spot. So I actually have to take a look where our rankings left off because that actually makes it really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I remember we were having that discussion after the very first one when we were like, so next month, MCS will come back, they'll get the golden ticket, and then the silver ticket will go to SSG, and then what happens if SSG then get a golden ticket? None of that's been an issue because it's all sorted itself out because we've had totally different teams every time, so it's totally different. So remember all these issues that we were coming up with, which actually weren't an issue at all. So yeah, it's cool. So let's move on to you were chatting about there. You've got a different role from last year. Last year in the Worlds, you were part of like the main team. That was a much bigger team last year, and they've reduced it down. And we chatted with Clash Bashing when he was on about it. You're still sort of involved a little bit. It's sort of almost at arm's length. But was that your decision or was that someone else's decision? And to sort of move away from that sort of being involved in that sort of main team of four that is now.
So that really came about. They went in a different direction, and I'm sure everybody's noticed, they're no longer with ESL for this. They're with a new company. So they decided to go in a different direction, and they cut down to 4 casters, where last season we were 6 casters and we had a desk host. Yeah. They cut down completely to 4 casters, no desk host, so completely different format. And with that, it makes it a lot tougher, because it's very competitive in general for the casting world. And when you have so many good casters out there, it's such a hard thing to choose from. I think in general, it's almost like having your top teams that you have to try and choose, like, who do you want into the qualifiers? So when it comes to the casting world too, it's a little bit tough when it tightens up, but with Itsu coming out of retirement, obviously he's going to be a number 1 choice for great reason. And, he came in, he took that 4th spot. And then how can you not do it without Judo, Carbon, and of course, Woody? I mean, Woody's your hype guy. You've got, he's full on hype. He's incredible at what he does. I know some people feel he can get over the top, but the dude is an absolute mastermind. He can talk for days.
Yeah, it's a skill.
Just his vocabulary, like the way he goes is just insane. So, that component he has to his own, and he's made a name for himself with that. Carbon and Judo are just, to their own. Judo is just one of the best technical experts around, I think. Nobody can hold a candle to him. And also, when you talk about someone who knows how to talk, do you remember that video that he did? It was like a 30-minute segment that they had put in one of the qualifiers. It might have been actually the finals. No. I think it was one of the qualifiers. It was insanely impressive. He did a 30-minute take. Absolutely, it seemed like he didn't take a breath, but absolutely no stumbles, no fumbles, and it wasn't even cut through. Have that skill to continue to talk without having ums or pauses or stops or any sort of trip up is just amazing. So, and back that up with the Clash knowledge that he has and the way he can really explain and break down is just superb. So Judo, a great choice, and I couldn't see them not doing. Carbon, of course, just great expert level knowledge, and he's done really well with the hype. I think Carbon's come a huge way with really finding his place within that and just becoming a very strong, powerful commentator as well. And then, Itsu, he's the GOAT. If Itsu's coming back to the casting world, you know he's going to be doing everything, and rightfully so, because not only does he bring in his expert knowledge, but he brings in his background of playing, as a pro. So he's got even more in-depth knowledge behind the scenes than any caster can actually offer. So, for me, it wasn't a surprise. And like, I totally get it. And, for like, what I've been trying to focus on in the meantime is just honing my skill, trying to find just more strength in what I do. It was very different learning how to cast, especially having to cast with so many different people.
Yeah.
Like this whole round robin, and it was like, okay, I got to try and get used to this one, like Woody style, and then I got to try and get used to Basha style, and then I got to try and get used to judos and carbons, and it just becomes like this big mishmash. But it was such a great opportunity and experience because you have to learn to adapt, and you have to learn to try and like bring your levels to different areas, and try and find how to complement one another. So it was really exciting. And I think it's given me the opportunity to try and branch out, work on other things, and personally work on myself for casting.
And so, but you've got this Clash Me Anything sort of interview thing going on as well. But so talk to us about that. Like, how did you go about like choosing what you're going to talk about? It might be very similar to the process I go through, like what's hot just now. But how do you get those? How do you pick the guests? And what was the sort of the thought process going on when you went through that?
So the way it works is, I'm pretty much there to do the questions, to talk. I have a lot of freedom with it. So typically we'll kind of like get a brainstorm outline together. And the production team is amazing because they actually start setting it up. I don't have to do like a crazy amount of like hours into it, which is really nice. It helps me out quite a bit. But then I'm given the freedom for input, like what guests do we want, who I think would be great for it, what direction we want to go with, and asking the questions, like being able to formulate questions. So it's a little bit of a collaborative effort, though they do a lot of work for me, which I love. It saves me a lot of time. But, I like the direction that it's going, especially with the last one. One of the ideas that they actually came up with from the production side was to do this, bass breakdown that Sir Iron did. And like, I've gotten so much great feedback about it. I think it's invaluable, and that's something I would love to keep going with. My mindset is that we should always have a builder on in the circle, because it's nice having the perspective of a player, a builder, and even a caster, just so you get that full round spectrum of analysis from just the commentary side of things. We'll see how we branch out a little bit more, getting our guests. So far, we've been really using some of the casters from the World Championships. But we also, we had Noobs who came in. Noobs is one of the German casters. So really nice opportunity to just highlight some of the other people in the scenes that, maybe they don't know about on YouTube. So it just gives a little bit more exposure. And then, of course, having the players on is invaluable. And like having Rigo on was amazing, being able to have a translator there. So it's
I
it's a
tried
little...
to get Rigo on. I tried to get Rigo on this, and he messaged back, and he was like, "Sorry, I've cut you off," but he was just like,
Yeah,
he was like, "Oh, I'd love to, but I can't speak English." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that'd be a problem."
Just get a translator.
Yeah, exactly. You guys came up with a workaround for it.
Yeah, which makes it really nice, especially because like they take care of the subtitles and all that stuff. So for me, it's a dream because I don't have to do all that work anymore. You know what it's like for YouTube. It takes forever. But yeah, it's a really fun opportunity, and I like the direction that it's going. I think it's really picking up steam, and people are enjoying the value that it does offer.
Have you got any sneak peeks of who's going to be on next month's? No? Okay. I just thought I'd try and get a scoop there.
I have to watch the qualifiers first. I really need to take a look at them to get an idea, but I think it would be great. I'd love to have, obviously, someone from Queen Walkers on there representing. I mean, come on now, we need to clickbait Klaus. We need Klaus on. Like, if we don't take that opportunity to get him on, we've done ourselves in. He's the best clickbait photo to put on any YouTube cover. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Klaus, but we'll see what he says and, and what we can do with that. But other than that, we'll see. I want to take a look from like defensively. Might be nice to get someone from Carnage Gaming for defense, possibly because they did hold some great defense. I believe they held a 1-star defense as well during the qualifiers at one point. So
Okay.
yeah, I think it would be great to have that kind of perspective in there. And then for caster side, we'll have to wait.
I like the sort of the profile that we're given to the defensive side of it, the base building side of it, and recognizing that that's actually a really important component of the sort of the upper level of the game. It's actually those defenses are just as important. It's a bit like like we'll talk about. We're going to talk about NACC in a moment anyway. So the way that NACC scores things, that they've got that stars difference, really recognizing the value in holding a 1-star in the league table, and sort of showing how that's laid out. Actually, I think it threw me at first when I first heard about it. I didn't understand it, but it makes total sense, and it really gives credit to that defensive side of things. So how did you get involved with NACC? There we go. There's a segue for you.
So, well, I got to give huge kudos to Ted. Ted is the brain behind NACC, and that's actually how I got involved in it. Ted and I worked together with Vertex Cup, and that was also with Northern Arena. And Northern Arena is someone that I had worked with. The opportunity was brought to me by Bulldog. I don't know if you know Bulldog from Mirage, but
No, I don't.
yeah, so that's a French Canadian team, and I had known Bulldog for a while. He had been trying to like land me into some like casting opportunities. He was such a great supporter, and they had this really amazing opportunity that was coming up at DreamHack, and that involved they got NACC involved with, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say NACC, Northern Arena involved with it, which the NACC is Northern Arena Clash Championship. So like they were the backer of that to get Clash of Clans in there on the stage, and it was like a French Canadian tournament, but they flew out MCES to come and play as a like
cool.
top tier French team. So it was really awesome. Carbon and I did the live broadcast there together. So that was my first real big casting opportunity. And then from there, Ted was starting this thing up with Vertex Cup. He had this awesome idea, awesome opportunity. And he's like, I'm looking for someone to maybe do something with this. And I said, you know what? Like I had been in talks with Northern Arena of other things. And they happened, it was like, it happened to line up at the right time. And they had reached out and they were like, oh, we're looking to do something more with Clash. And I said, well, you know what? I know this guy who does these amazing tournament ideas. Like he puts these awesome things together and he's got a new one coming up. So I connected the two and, they put that together. From that point, I was handling the broadcast side for the finals, like for any of the highlight things that we were doing, took over the production side for that. And then from there, Ted had the idea for NACC and, they kept moving forward with Northern Arena and, got roped into that one as well, which has been absolutely amazing. It's a lot of work, but it's an absolutely incredible tournament, which I love.
Yeah, I love casting it. I love the league concept, this idea of like the consistency that's required, that you need to perform over several weeks.
Yeah.
I know when we had Homa Beer on, he wasn't as much a fan of it. He prefers, in terms of being able to keep the players focused, the knockout I think works really well from a player point of view. But in terms of I don't know, I think a league for me is harder to win than a knockout tournament. And so being able to see these teams perform over weeks, not being without its challenges with like the problems with like players and organisations changing and all that sort of stuff, but I love it as a concept. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too far off from what you get to see with Mobile Open as well, with that kind of tournament.
Yeah.
But I feel like in a way it's less grueling, even though it is 17 weeks. It's a lot, but they can, for the most part, other than the broadcast where we're trying to really just make it work on Sundays, and we still have flexibility, which is nice. It just depends at we need to get two teams together for the double header, so the time zones have to really match. We also want it to be slightly relevant as well, if we can, though a lot of our broadcast is set up beforehand. It's just worked out really nice that we're getting to see these matches that matter at the end of the road here for them. But yeah, for the, it's a lot for them, but I feel like they have a lot of flexibility that they can play whenever they want through the rest of the week.
Yeah. And so streaming for the NACC and Mobile Open, which one came first? What one did you sort of stream for first?
So I was doing NACC first. Yeah, definitely doing NACC first, and that was just all like coming right off of Vertex Cup, going straight in for NACC right after that. And then Mobile Open, I'm trying to remember when that started. I believe it was in June. So that came in a little bit later on. So, a bit of juggling. But the good thing is that for the most part, they don't really coincide because Northern Arena is all on Sundays and then NACC is on Thursdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
Except for this coming weekend, where it's actually going to be Saturday and Sunday. So I've got to do NACC on Sunday, and then I have a 2-hour broadcast for NACC on Sunday, and then I've got an hour break, and then I think I have a 6-hour cast for ESL Mobile Open after that.
That'll be fine.
But,
you won't be exhausted at all. Yeah. So what about this has just come to me, it's not on the list, I'm sorry, but you've streamed with Echo in the Vertex Cup, you streamed with Eric in NACC, you streamed obviously during the Worlds as well. Who's the person that you enjoy streaming with the most?
That's a tough one, because I've streamed with, I've casted with a lot of people. Obviously there's like Eric. Do you mean just like for that side of things, or just in general? Because you've got
general,
Eric.
just who have you had the most fun with here? Not just out of that list, just anyone at all. I'm just basically trying to make something controversial.
Yeah.
Where you have to pick a name.
Do I have to say Was? I have to say Wasman, don't I?
No, I think it's better if you don't.
He's right here. He's gonna toss me right out that window if I don't say his name. No, I mean, it's hard because everybody has their unique things that they bring. I feel so comfortable casting with Echo. Like there's something just so nice about our banter that works really well together. Like we, in ways, Echo and I really complement each other, but we've worked together in the past. Like Echo and I had done Springtrap show with him. We had done, a couple of videos together as well. So like we had a really nice dynamic that just, it's just very relaxed and comfortable. Plus we're New Yorkers, so I think that really helps.
Right.
And Eric's great. He's got Eric's also, I said Carbon really has come into his own. Eric's another caster who's really just like kind of building up that hype. I think it was like holding back for so long in a lot of ways, but you see Eric really starting to shine, and of course bringing his expert knowledge, playing the game constantly, and also being part of a bigger competitive clan, which I think helps quite a bit. I've always loved the dynamic with Carbon, especially because Carbon and I have actually casted in person together for DreamHack. That was there's something so different about that, that I've not been able to experience otherwise because everything's been shut down since. Like everything else I've done has been virtual with people. I've only had one opportunity of actually casting live with somebody, and that was with Carbon. But I really liked casting with Bash. There was something really nice about, I felt the way Bash and I complemented each other with hype levels and, with dispersing knowledge and, share points. So honestly, I've always said this, I think casting with Bash has always been a huge comfort zone for me that I enjoyed during the World Championships last year.
I love the way you answered that question. You basically just listed everybody. It was great. That is the best way to get out of a controversial question. You just said everyone. Every single person was brilliant.
I mean, Woody challenged me, to bring up my hype level. So yeah, but honestly, if I had to pick one, I think I would say Bash though. I really enjoyed casting with Bash.
Cool. That's cool, man. So casting for Alternate Attacks. how did that come about? Tell us a story about how you became the content creator for Alternate Attacks, the top
So
team in Clash of Clans.
they had put out a tweet, like I was covering ATN quite a bit. I've known the guys for a while, obviously, and from the start, like once they made their team, I said to them, like at the start of 2020, when I found out that they were coming together, that they made this team, I talked to the guys and I said, "You're gonna win everything. Like you guys, this is probably the most OP team lineup I have ever seen. You guys are gonna win it all." And Sir Iron was like, "Please don't jinx us. Just don't."
The famous lady.
He's like, and like I said, no, mark my words, you guys are going to win it all, and they did. So like, I was following them, and I like their attack style. I like the way they play, and I always wanted to stream them because of that. I can really see, and I don't think it's just because I stream them all the time. Well, maybe a little bit, but like I can their plans I can see through and through where like there's some other teams they'll go and I'm like, okay, what are you doing here? But it's like when I'm watching ATN more times than not, it's like, okay, I know exactly where you're going from this one. Not that they're predictable, but they just have a style to their own, and it's just like they almost make you see the way you should be attacking after watching them so many times. But
yeah, you're right. You watch attack, and then you're just like, oh, of course he's done that. Why did I not see that? That makes total sense. It's like, oh yeah, he's taken out that building, and that's changed the entire... Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
But, so I'd been covering them quite a bit, and I guess, like they had put out something on Twitter, and they said, we're looking for content creators, fill out this form. So I did, and they contacted me, and they were like, we'd like to ask you if you'd like to do content creation for us. And I sat on a phone call with one of their managers, and lo and behold, it turned into the the streamer opportunity with ATN, which was amazing, because they were the team that I definitely could easily back up. I like their style. They're humble. The guys they're like no fuss, no nonsense. They go about their business. They work hard. And I love seeing that at any given point, maybe not now so much, but when they're in crunch time, they're always on Discord together, planning. They're in the clan. They're doing FCs. They work hard, and I can really appreciate that.
And so what about Mask coming into the team then? Is that the obvious choice from your point of view? Does that make total sense?
I mean, yeah, look at him. He's just an absolutely insane player. I mean, I was really sad. Linnade had messaged me to tell me what was going on before it was obviously announced. So I knew for a little while, and I was really sad. I was like, I was trying so hard not to say things too. Like I remember streams where, I kind of almost indicated to it. I'm like, oh no, I got to be careful what I say. Like these small little things that made it sound like, okay, well, he's going to be retiring soon. But yeah, so it was really sad to see Linnade go, but to bring in Mask has been a huge compliment to the team. And I think that's a difficult thing because you forge a team that you've worked together with for over a year. And then you just completely mix it up, throw in someone new to the mix. But they've played with Mask before. Mask has been around the community, and he has really shown himself. He's proven himself. And his style also fits very well. He's an insane queen charge attacker, so he fills that mark, for Linnade. Great with Lalo, great versatility. And, I think he's doing a little bit of a hand at base building as well. I think just a small hand. I don't think he does quite a bit, but he's been an excellent choice. So I can't say I'm surprised at all. No, I think it's perfect.
Cool. Right. Okay. Here's the challenging one then. Who is the best ATM player? And you can't do what you did. You're not allowed to do what you did. You've used that card already. You can't just name everyone. You have to name one player.
Okay. Well, okay, I'll make it easy. I'm just gonna go with Yo-Yo because he just topped the tiers of the Legends League ladder. I think it's almost like Yo-Yo's the Klaus of ATN. um, yeah, I've got to go with Yo-Yo on that one. He's a disgusting attacker. He really is. When you see him do things like the uh what is it, the King Warden walk, King Warden charge, and the Queen charge with the Valks. It doesn't even have a name, but he just comes up with these ridiculous attacks. He's definitely like the Klaus of ATN, and he's exceptional at what he does.
Nice. That is a perfect answer. Brilliant. And so obviously you're in Europe right now. You're quite close to them. They're mainly
Yeah.
based in Germany. I mean, that's like literally next door. Are you going to meet up with them at any point, or?
Not this time around. Yeah, so unfortunately, because of the Delta variant, I'm being very cautious about meetups
Ah,
and
right.
stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I'm double vaccinated, but I did not build any antibodies because I am immunocompromised. So it's basically like I'm not even vaccinated. So I have to be extra careful.
Ah, okay.
So
Fair enough.
yeah, I'm avoiding just public gatherings and meetups like that. It's risky enough to travel, especially with everything going on here right now. Cases are very, very high. So I don't want to take any risks. But when it gets safer, absolutely. It's unfortunate because I got here and Kala messaged me. They were having a meetup there with some of the other guys, and I would have loved to have gone. But again, it's too,
Yeah.
I can't risk getting sick out here or in
Yeah,
general.
no. That makes sense. That makes
But
total
definitely
sense.
not, but definitely in another country, it's a bit more risky.
So the last kind of one on the whole casting side of things, before we've got a few viewers' questions as well. You got any advice for someone that wants to start in casting or Clash of Clans, sort of, or like any content creation, anything like that? What's your one bit of advice that you would give someone?
I think the one actually big bit of advice that I think people don't really take into account is start small. Don't go into it like buying everything under the sun. Start basic, start simple. All you need is, air server, which just really messed up for me the other day. So maybe that's like the best stuff. But
I love Air Server as well. I'm a big Air Server fan, but yeah.
yeah, it messed me. I think it was because my iPad was plugged in and that one wasn't connected, and then iTunes kept going on, and the link kept disconnecting, and I hadn't updated in a while. So, but yeah, if you update it and stuff, yeah, get simple things like Air Server, really cheap, low cost. You can have an iPad. All you need is whatever laptop you're using. I streamed on my MacBook for over 3 years. I was doing all my content creation just on my laptop, with a
Yeah.
pretty basic setup. You can use the camera in your screen. You don't have to invest in a camera. It took me a little while before I actually did that. I actually streamed with no camera for months when I first started, and had like the most basic setup ever, before really investing into things. But I think that's my one big piece of advice. Don't go big with it. Learn the ropes first. It's great to have a webcam because it is more engaging, but if you feel shy or uncomfortable doing it, start off just learning how to talk to chat without having the camera, take it step by step and then slowly start building. I think it also helps build some hype for the community that you start working on, that, they can see the progression of your streams.
Yeah, that's cool. That makes sense. Right, okay. We've got a couple of viewer questions that come in. Guys, if you want to throw any in the chat, you can go for it. But I've got a couple that are written down here already. Do you prefer to? I think this might be a really obvious question on reflection, but do you prefer to cast on your own streams where you get to interact with the chat, or on the shows where you don't get to interact?
Yeah, I mean, like the shows are cool and all, but there's something you really lose about not being able to interact with people. I think a lot of people who get into content creation do it because you like the social interaction, you like being able to connect with the community, and that's kind of the big draw, is that you get to sit there and hang out with people and talk about games. So, from that perspective, I really do like streaming on my side of
Do
things,
you
but
do you
I
look
wouldn't
at the
I wouldn't
chat?
give up. I wouldn't give up
Yeah.
doing the casting.
Yeah. Can you see the chat like for when you're streaming NACC? Can you see the chat going by? Do you look at it, or do you just ignore it and just concentrate on the cast? And how do you? I know that
It
different
depends.
casters have different approaches.
Yeah, it really depends. It depends on what my mindset is. It also depends on toxicity level of the day.
Yeah.
Because there are trolls out there. There are people that just have nothing better to do than crawl out from under their rocks and just try and wreak some havoc, because I guess they've literally got zero else to do with their lives. But yeah, I mean, it depends. But even with that, like I try not to let it, if I see that sort of stuff, it's just like, okay, chat stays up. I don't look at it. I let other people handle it, because more times than not, a lot of these, a lot of the organizations and everything are getting better about handling that, like timing out people, banning them for their behavior. And I'm glad to actually see that. I'm glad that that's getting recognized, that harassing people, bullying, that sort of stuff is starting to get knocked out of the community.
Yeah, I think Clash of Clans, to be honest, their channel was the one of the biggest problems out for, but they just didn't have any mods for so long. I just don't think it had crossed their mind that actually having a few mods in here might be useful, and that was one of the most spiciest places to go. Let's call it spicy. That's an interesting way.
Kenzo B.
Meats, she's not talking about you, Meats. Meats, you're lovely. You're not. He's yeah. Don't. What makes a good caster?
So I think there's a lot of answers to that. How I like to pick every person in the in the room. But yeah, I think that's a tough thing because it's really, it's personality, it's style, knowledge. There are a lot of different things that can make a caster good. You take Woody, for example. He might not be the most knowledgeable for Clash of Clans. Obviously you have, judo for that. So
Yeah.
it's having that balance of complement, someone that can hype, someone that can bring knowledge. You need charisma, you need knowledge, but somewhere in between, you need a little bit of the other thing. So it's just
Yeah.
having that balance. And really a good caster is someone that is going to continuously try and learn and improve. That's the best caster there is. Someone that's like reviewing and saying, okay, what am I doing wrong? Am I saying 500 times? Am I saying, here, there, like what are the words that I'm saying all the times? And, how can I try and improve this? As far as knowledge, trying to understand more things about the game. Like you might not be the best technical caster, but if you have a lot of charisma and you have the drive to try and learn as much as you can, that can make a great content creator.
Cool. When has it all gone wrong? Tell us about a time when it's all gone wrong. I think, from my point of view, it's always nice to hear about the upper levels of the casting community and the Clash of Clans content creation. It's nice to hear that things don't run smoothly for everyone as well. So tell us about when it's all gone wrong.
Just open up any stream of mine. So one thing you and I are talking behind the scenes and I told you like ask me later about something. And this is the one. So when I had been doing some YouTube interviews, one of the first ones I had done was with Maxi when he retired from Tribe Gaming. And we set up the interview. I'm doing all the tech checks, like the tech tests and checks and making sure like, okay, I can hear you, audio level sounds good. I could see it on the meter, like everything's good. Okay, let's get started. So we go through this amazing interview. It was like the best interview I could have ever had. And we hang up and I go to hit the stop button and I never hit the record button. And that was like the worst moment in my life. I was like, and I couldn't breathe for about 5 minutes. I had an absolute heart attack because I was like, are you serious? I have to ask Maxi to re-record this whole thing over again?
And it's never going to be as good.
And it's never going to be as good. It's never as good as the first take. But yeah, and it's a good thing. Maxi and I are very close. I've known Maxi for many years now, having played with him in 11 Original and doing some meetups with him. Of course, when I was here for not here, but in Germany for the Town Hall 12 live event when they had introduced Town Hall 12 and all the siege machines and everything. So that was the first time I actually got to meet my team, was when I went out there. And then, when I had been going back and forth, we were able to meet up a few times, which was really nice. So it was a good thing that I had a good rapport with Maxie, because then I was like, really sorry, but I didn't hit the record button. And he laughed and he was like, it's okay. So we redid it. And it was a great interview. Maxie's a lovely, lovely person and one of the most charismatic players out there.
I've just looked down and realised that I've only been streaming this. I have not been recording it as well. So genuinely
Really?
have. I'm just like, I mean, I'll still have it as a VOD.
But you can get it. Yeah.
But I'm just like, great. I didn't actually hit record. That's brilliant.
So out of that, like after that happened, I made this big note. I don't know, it might still be in my office somewhere because I don't think I ever got rid of it. I wrote in like big Sharpie marker, hit record, you bleep, bleep, bleep.
I did used to have a post-it up here that said that. It said hit record. I'm normally getting quite good into it, but I've totally screwed up. Imagine. It's brilliant. Jim has thrown one in here. He says one of his main goals is getting casting consistently. How did you go about getting into a position where you can consistently stream quality events and matches? I kind of missed out a question earlier on actually, about you have a real life job as well, don't you? Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe important for people to understand that actually. Sorry, I'm now answering the question for you, but there's actually like you've got two levels of income going on there, haven't you? So
yeah.
Sorry. How do you go about getting into a position where you can consistently stream quality events and matches?
Yeah, so at this point, like I'm still working full time actually. And, so I have like a 40-hour a week job that can wind up going into overtime depending on what happens. But I work from home, which is nice. Because of COVID, I've started working remotely, which gives me a lot more flexibility. It was a lot harder to do this kind of stuff and probably almost impossible that I could have done as much as I'm doing, at least on the broadcasting side, with a hour to hour and a half each way commute and working 40 hours a week. So, this has been really nice and it's offered me a lot of opportunities. But as far as getting into the casting, like doing quality level tournaments and streams, it's really about just making a name for yourself, building yourself up in the community, but being there. You have to be present. You have to, you have to get to know the teams, know the players, know the leagues and organizations. And it's a grind. I mean, I've been in the scene for, like I said, I don't know, 6-8 years or something like that, way too long, so long that I can't even remember. But that, that time adds up. And I think a lot of people actually don't realize how long I have been around and how long the grind has been, that I've only just, as of last year, started having some of those casting opportunities. Well, I should say at the end of 2019 is really when it started. So it's a huge grind. It's not always going to pay off right off the bat, but you have to love what you're doing. You have to be there for the right reasons. For me, it's always been about showcasing high quality level wars, showcasing the teams, bringing excitement to it and enjoying it and sharing that with other people. So if you can bring that and you can build yourself in the community and just kind of like find a notch there, get to know these teams, get to know the players, they like the coverage, and they like to get to know people. So just kind of nestle yourself in there. You have to have social media. Carbon and I actually talked about that during the Clash Me Anything episode. Social media is really important for players, but also for content creators to get out there and be visible. Just be in front of people, get in their faces.
I like that. That's some good advice. I like that. It's good. Oni's asking, how do you keep the balance with streaming, job, and your own social life? I suppose that's kind of a very similar question again. Do you have the balance? Yeah. Do you have it right?
No, this is why I burn out a lot. I burn out quite a bit, though I think it's getting a little bit better. I think the only problem is right now, you have to be okay with the way things are. And that's kind of the struggle, is like, okay, this is my job. I have 40 hours a week. Where can I squeeze something in? Now that I'm working remotely, I can say, well, I'll take an hour lunch break and do a match in between, which is great. When I was working at the office, it was like, well, I'm only going to be able to stream the wars that I can stream, which is later in the
Yeah.
day, and that's it. So it was very limited what I could do, and I had to be okay with that. Now I have things like ESL Mobile Open, which has forced me to take PTO in order to do it because it cuts in between my workday. So I have an arrangement with my employer that, I have some of like a portion of these days off in order to do it. And it works out, and typically I'm actually not taking even full days off. I'm only taking maybe about 3 up to 4 hours in a day, pretty much to do it. And I can easily make it up if I wanted to. But what it's doing is limiting how much I can actually do on my own stream. So that then there's that, what's the balance here? How much am I putting into my own stream versus how much I'm doing broadcast? And then what's left over for me to actually not work because I work a lot, but I've always been a workaholic. I've always had multiple jobs. I've never not had at least 2 jobs. Even when I was in college, it was like I was working many hours and I had no social life. So I'm just used to not having a social life.
That's the way
But
to
I think,
balance it. Just don't have
yeah,
one. There we go. Yeah.
yeah.
Remove
I
that
think
element.
but the toughest thing is like, you need to have these things. I think there's a lot of burnout. Like, let's be honest. And I think it's important to have the balance there in general, because streaming can just be a tough thing. Dealing with toxicity, everybody has to face it. No matter who you are, you're going to have somebody who's going to say something nasty to you. No matter how hard you work, you'll still feel like, am I getting as far as I want to be going? So finding some sort of balance for things like going for walks, exercising, and that's the struggle right now. So like I have to wake up at 4 a.m. if I want to do those things. And then go to bed at like 8 or 9 or maybe midnight and get 4 hours of sleep. But
Faiz has asked, what is it that you actually do for work? What do you do in the real life?
So I do marketing. I work for an engineering firm and I head up the marketing and communications department.
Which kind of translates quite well in the whole graphic side of things. And
yeah. And I actually was a broadcast major in college. I studied, I started off with journalism, realized that like it probably wouldn't be a great direction because I have a big mouth and I don't like, I wouldn't work well in like corporate TV. But yeah, so I wound up going into to broadcasting, and then I've just done a bunch of stuff. Like I've done photography and, just kind of wound up into the marketing spectrum of things, which I do enjoy quite a bit.
Cool. So Tick has asked, does ATN ask you for match days and time? Or
do they work around me?
Yeah, do they work around you at all, or anything?
No.
Absolutely no consideration.
No, and I wouldn't expect them to, because those guys have lives of their own. They have work schedules, and I would never, ever, ever expect a team to have to pander to my own sort of schedule. Yeah, cool. That's on them, and if I can do it, I try and squeeze it in. If I can try and flex some things around to make it happen, that's what I do. So a lot of times it's really me just saying like, okay, they're streaming, then I had something planned. Let me see if I can switch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy days. So there's been a couple of references here right at the start of the stream. I don't know if there's a background story on this or not. Oni's just asked, how good can Wasman cook? And right at the start, there was a question about, when is Lady B going to do a cooking stream? Is this like can you not cook? Is this like a joke? What's going on with this?
I'm getting the eyes like this. I get this. He's like, you better have me. Wasman's a good cook. I'm an excellent cook. I actually cooked tonight. But Wasman is a good cook. And I think he enjoys cooking much more here in the Netherlands. He's not a great prep cooker. Like, he needs things cut up already because it takes him forever to day. He's really slow at cooking. Like, let's be honest.
That sounds like he's a guy, to be honest. Like,
he's very slow at cooking.
I'm quite a good cook, but when I cook, the whole kitchen is wrecked. So I can't do it very often because
I'm a messy cooker. I'm super messy. But I clean up afterwards. Like, I'll do everything at once and then I'll clean up after. Some cooks are like, I do this, then I clean it up, and then I do this, and then no. It's like, I'm gonna do everything at once, but I have to have a system because, like, today I actually made arroz con pollo. and because it's easy, it's like one dish, like a one pot kind of dish thing, which I like. And then you just use one cutting board, but it's all about the prep. You have to get all the stuff like before the chicken cut up and prepped, and then it's the mise en place, right? That's like the things in place. I actually used to work in the restaurant industry for quite some time, for like 15 years. So I really enjoy cooking. I actually like cooking quite a bit. So I'm a good cook.
So cooking streams are coming. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, at some point.
Streams. Yeah, I like this.
I had done it. I actually had done it at least once back at my old place. But I haven't done anything since I've moved. I just have to figure out how to do the setup. I'd actually prefer to have my kitchen redone before I do it. I really want to.
It's not that space just behind you anymore. There's a different bit of your house you need to share with the world. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. I mean, my kitchen's not bad, but I'd rather have I want the granite countertops down, first before. But it's just a little bit fancier. But I could probably do one, before I actually do the kitchen renovation.
That's cool. Right, I've got one more question. It's a good one to finish on. Jim has asked again, have you achieved all your goals as a caster in the Clash community? If not, what else would you like to accomplish? I think that is a perfect question to finish on. Where are you going next? I'm assuming that you are not going to say, I am done. Yeah, it's perfect. I've achieved everything I want to. I'm assuming you've got a goal next. So what's the next thing on the list?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not done yet. I really want to continue to challenge myself to improve. I would love the opportunity to go back to the Worlds at some point, if that opportunity would ever arise. But I know that might not be in the cards, and I'm okay with that. What I would love, and I guess that goes hand in hand with that, I'd love to be able to cast on a big stage, like at the Worlds. Like that would be amazing. And these opportunities have not been offered. I think that's almost like maybe the one regret of last year during COVID, having such an incredible opportunity. And I wouldn't change it for the world. But it would have been so much more incredible to be on a big stage and have that kind of experience, because I remember seeing Judo and Carbon and Woody and Renee in Hamburg live, and this setup was just, it was awesome. It was so incredible to see. So that would be such a nice experience to do that, kind of like on the big stage arena sort of thing. I don't know that, I don't know if that would ever happen again. I don't know if they're going to ever go that same approach. We'll have to see how things turn out, because at this point we're still all working remotely. But yeah, no, not done yet. Looking to improve, but for me, it's not a matter of saying these are my goals. I'm open for the opportunities that come to me, and I'm happy for the ones that I can get, but it would be amazing to have that kind of experience.
That's cool. So it's not like so you see it quite a lot at the start of the year, have people that put out a tweet saying here are my numbers, this is what I want to achieve in terms of numbers and all that. But in terms, you've just gone for an experience. This is an opportunity, or this is an experience that I would like to get out of the thing. And it's it's a different way of approach. I like that. It's a different way. Lady B, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.